Hello everyone. I have already sent the split up syllabus of economics class 12. I think you all of have seen the syllabus and there are two books in class 12 economics, macroeconomics and Indian economic development. But first we will start from Indian economic development. And in this book our first chapter is Indian economy on the eve of independence. Eve, it means prior to independence. And prior to independence, you all know there was a rule of British East India Company. To know the structure of India's present economy, we should we should understand the history of Indian economy. So before the starting, what happened during the British rule, we should understand what happened with the Indian economy before the entry of British East India Company. You may see the slide. Before the entry of British rule, our economy was fully independent. There was no pressure of any kind of rule or any country. We were free. Number two, agricultural activity was the main activity at that time. Most of the population depend on farming and farming related activities for their survival, for their livelihood. And the third thing, our handicraft industry was very popular, worldwide popular industry. It was it was famous, popular in not only in European market but in the entire part of the world also. But when British East India Company entered, they changed. They have taken steps for Indian economy. Steps may be positive or maybe negative for us. So this we will discuss in this chapter. Especially during the British rule, what kind of changes they made. Personal Indian economy was totally based on personal interest. British East India Company controlled the entire economy for their self benefit. You may understand this later when we will discuss each and every sector of our economy. Number two, they practiced exploiting policies. They imposed so many kind of taxes. They formulated very harsh policies, especially in regard to the supply of raw materials. Number three, there was very low per capita income, national income during the company, during the colonial period. We can better understand this thing, what they did, means what British East India Company did for Indian economy. We will understand this through the performance of various sectors. I have mentioned different sectors in my slide. Sectors are agricultural sector, industrial sector, foreign trade, demographic transition, then occupational structure and infrastructure. Today we will read only agricultural sector. So what kind of changes they made in this particular sector? After reading my points, you may see some changes were fruitful and some changes were not fruitful for Indian economy and for Indian farmers and peasants. So my first point is there was low production and productivity. There was very low production in agricultural sector. Productivity was very low. Productivity is the rate at which production increases. Production and productivity both were low due to lack of technology and lack of irrigational facilities. British East India Company did not invest in this sector to improve technology or to invest in to expand irrigational facilities. Number two, high degree of uncertainty. You all know Indian farmers mostly depend on monsoon or rainfall. So there was uncertainty of production. Sometimes we gained huge production, but sometimes we gained very low production, very less production of crops. Number three, dominance of subsistence farming. At that time, Indian farmers did farming activities for self-consumption only. There was no excess production. If there is excess production, farmers can sell their production to earn money, but there was no excess production. Cultivation farming was only for self consumption, means subsistence farming was there, no commercial outlook. Next point is small and fragmented holdings. Farming areas, our fields were very small. फील्ड्स बहुत छोटे छोटे थे, तो इस पे भी कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं किया गया, कोई चेंजेस. And during the colonial period, very exploitative revenue system. I think you all know the system Jamidar. Jamidars collected taxes, revenues, lagan, or rent from small farmers and peasants, and they deposited to some part had been deposited to the company. So very harsh conditions were there to collect revenues, to collect lagan. Next point is forced commercialization. British East India Company focused, stressed to grow cash crops, to grow indigo instead of wheat and rice, because they wanted to earn more and more money from Indian resources. Next and last point is impact of partition. In the year 1947, we got freedom and India was divided into two nations, independent nations, Pakistan and our country. So most of the fertile land went with Pakistan. So our land was not poor, but most of the fertile land went to Pakistan and Bangladesh. Bangladesh was in Pakistan in 1947. After 1947, it became free in the year 1971. So you can understand that very poor condition of our agricultural sector. They changed some things in this particular sector, but most of the were very poor. So all these factors were responsible for stagnation and backwardness of Indian agriculture. Stagnation, no change, without change or without progress. So no much profit for Indian people, common Indian people. That's all for today. Please, you all are requested to note down the points. These points are very fruitful to score good marks in exam. So please keep with me. Thank you and have a nice day.